To those souls yearning for truth in this age of turmoil, listen closely. As Nostradamus warned, what we're witnessing is not the end, but merely the beginning of a great struggle to rescue the American dream. A dream first reignited by Donald Trump in 2016. And it's not just Nostradamus. America has its own prophet, Alan Lichtman, the Nostradamus of U.S. elections. For over 40 years, Lichtman has predicted every presidential election with astounding accuracy, exceeding 95%. Now, in 2024, do these two prophets converge in their vision of America's future and the fate of Donald Trump himself? Like this video and follow our channel, for what awaits is a revelation of fate, a glimpse into the destiny of a king in our time. Prepare yourself for the secrets yet to be unveiled. When the name Nostradamus is mentioned, many immediately think of apocalyptic prophecies and dire predictions about the future. However, Michel de Nostradamus was, in fact, just a Frenchman who lived from 1503 to 1566. Little is known about his family, but historians believe he came from a noble lineage, evidenced by his extensive education. He devoted much of his life to practicing medicine, aiming to heal those suffering from contagious diseases, although no records confirm he held a medical degree. Nostradamus only became famous after he published Les Prophecies in 1555, a collection of 942 prophetic quatrains that made him a revered figure, especially in 16th century France. His verses span topics from natural disasters and wars to political upheaval and social change. Believers claim he predicted major historical events such as the French Revolution, the rise of Napoleon, and even the 9/11 attacks. However, critics argue that his vague language allows people to interpret his words in a way that fits nearly any event. They also note that his focus on universal themes like war and famine makes some of his predictions statistically likely to come true over time. By the end of this video, we hope you'll decide on which side of the story you'll fall. But in the meantime, let's look at some of his alarming prophecies that have seemingly come to pass. Before we reveal what this modern Nostradamus has predicted for Donald Trump in 2024, let's look at his prediction for the 2016 election that shocked Americans. When people hear the name Alan Lichtman, they may think of him as the Nostradamus of U.S. presidential elections. Known for his uncanny ability to predict the outcomes of 9 out of the last 10 U.S. presidential elections, Lichtman's approach combines historical insight with a unique data-driven system. Unlike the mystical prophecies of Nostradamus, his method, known as the 13 Keys to the White House, relies on an intricate model that to many feels just as astonishing in its accuracy. One of Lichtman's most memorable predictions was in 2016 when he forecasted Donald Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton, a prediction that shocked many pundits and analysts. Despite Trump being a former reality TV star with no political or military background, Lichtman saw the elements align for a Trump win. He pointed to several factors, including Bernie Sanders' challenge to Clinton, which triggered the contest key in Lichtman's model. Additionally, with no incumbent running, the Democrats couldn't benefit from the advantage that typically accompanies an incumbent president's bid for re-election. The Democrats had also fared poorly in the 2014 midterms, another key against them. Lacking significant domestic achievements after the Affordable Care Act or major foreign policy victories post-Bin Laden, Lichtman concluded that enough keys had turned against the Democrats, setting the stage for Trump's win. It was not an easy call, Lichtman admitted. After the election, Trump himself acknowledged Lichtman's prediction by sending him a signed copy of the Washington Post interview where the professor had made his bold forecast, scribbled with, "Congrats, Professor, good call, Donald J. Trump." But Lichtman didn't stop there. In the same conversation, he predicted that Trump would face impeachment, a statement that proved accurate in the years that followed. In 2020, Lichtman turned his analytical gaze once again towards Trump. He cited the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the key factor that would undermine Trump's chances at re-election. The pandemic is what did him in, Lichtman later reflected, noting that Trump's focus on dismissing the pandemic rather than addressing it substantively revealed a failure to govern effectively. He congratulated me for predicting him, but he didn't grasp the significance of the keys. Governance, not just campaigning, determines outcomes. Ultimately, Trump's handling of the pandemic solidified Lichtman's forecast of his defeat. Lichtman's methodology, while structured, seems almost intuitive, even prophetic in nature. His 13 keys to the White House were developed with the help of seismologist Vladimir Kailas-Borok, a scientist known for his work in predicting earthquakes. Together, they analyzed the factors that lead to political stability and upheaval, much like the prophets of old who read the signs of their time. These 13 keys cover a broad spectrum, from the state of the economy and social unrest to policy changes and candidate charisma. When 6 or more keys turn against the incumbent party, Lichtman's model predicts that they will lose power. Lichtman's model has withstood the test of time, successfully predicting outcomes from Ronald Reagan's re-election to Bill Clinton's rise to power, solidifying his reputation as a modern-day prophet in American politics. While he has faced critics who argue that his approach may include subjective judgments, his consistent record speaks for itself. As we look ahead to 2024, Lichtman's latest predictions have many on edge, wondering what insights his model will reveal this time. His track record has prompted comparisons to biblical prophecy, with his method representing not just a prediction system, but a reflection of broader social and political forces. Lichtman's ability to read these forces feels almost like an embodiment of the words from Psalm 33:10-11. The Lord foils the plans of the nations, he thwarts the purposes of the peoples. But the plans of the Lord stand firm forever, the purposes of his heart through all generations. Whether one sees him as a mere analyst or as a figure guided by deeper wisdom, Lichtman's predictions carry a weight that cannot be ignored. Beyond election forecasts, Lichtman's insights have influenced discussions on political stability at institutions like the CIA, where his model has been used to analyze foreign election outcomes. His work demonstrates how ancient concepts of prophecy and foresight resonate even in modern times, offering guidance and insight in moments of uncertainty. It's reminiscent of how biblical prophets once spoke to kings and rulers, providing a moral and strategic compass during turbulent times. In the controversial 2000 election, Lichtman predicted an Al Gore victory over George W. Bush. Although Gore won the popular vote, the outcome was marred by the Florida recount and disputes over ballot counts. Lichtman has since described the election as stolen, an example of the complexities and challenges inherent in any democratic system, a reminder that even the clearest predictions can face resistance from powerful institutions. With each election, Lichtman's work invokes the spirit of Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Like prophets who remained firm in their message despite opposition, Lichtman has stood by his model, committed to his belief that governance and leadership, more than charisma or campaign promises, determine the fate of a nation. As the world watches 2024 unfold, many will be watching Lichtman, the Nostradamus of U.S. elections, to see what his unique blend of history and analysis will reveal about America's future. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Nostradamus, Lichtman's Trump prediction for the 2024 election. In recent months, Lichtman has been invited to deliver keynote addresses at Asian and Brazilian financial conferences, the Oxford Union and J.P. Morgan. As another election approaches, he remains unconvinced by polls indicating Trump is leading Biden. A poll shows Trump with a steady lead in a head-to-head rematch against President Biden, placing Trump at 49% and Biden at 43%. During the 2024 presidential election, Lichtman stated he has not yet made a final prediction. He reminded his viewers of his 13 keys to the White House model, which has been correct since 1984, covering 10 elections in a row. He added that a lot would have to go wrong for Joe Biden to lose this election, because Biden is currently down by just 2 keys. A recent Reuters survey shows U.S. voters view Trump as more favorable to the economy than President Biden. In this 3-day poll, 41% preferred Trump's economic policies, while 34% favored Biden's. Lichtman was asked, "Who did you pick for 2024? Who is leading your score sheet?" He replied, "I haven't made a final prediction yet because things are still very fluid on my 13 keys to the White House." The remaining participants were uncertain or felt neither candidate had a superior economic stance. However, Lichtman cautioned that early polls should be taken with caution. "Early polls have zero predictive value," he told NDTV. "They are momentary snapshots. For example, they indicate if the elections were held today, this is where the candidates stand, but the election is not being held today." He also reminded people of his forecast of Donald Trump's 2016 victory, despite contrary poll results. He mentioned the 1988 election, when George H.W. Bush overcame a 17-point deficit against Michael Dukakis to win, illustrating why it's essential to look beyond the polls and focus on the broader picture indicated by the keys. Lichtman expects to make his final 2024 presidential prediction in early August. He points out that Biden already holds the incumbency key, and after easily defeating token challengers in the Democratic primary, he also has the contest key. That's 2 keys off the top, meaning 6 more keys would need to turn against him to predict his defeat. "A lot would have to go wrong for Biden to lose," he explained. He also noted that running mate selections hold no weight in his predictions, and he has never altered his forecast due to an October surprise. However, he admits that no predictive model is entirely immune to shocking events. When asked about the possibility of failure, Lichtman acknowledged that his model, like all human models, is not immune to errors. The keys to predicting election outcomes are grounded in historical data and trends, developed from 1860 to the present and used prospectively since 1984. This historical foundation enables the keys to capture significant shifts in aspects like the economy, demographics, and the political landscape. By examining patterns over this extensive period, the keys provide a robust framework for understanding electoral outcomes and the influence of historical context on contemporary elections. Specifically, he refers to the situation where former President Trump, a major party candidate, is undergoing a criminal trial. He suggests that if this candidate is convicted, a scenario he considers likely, it could significantly disrupt or scramble the usual factors that his keys consider when predicting election outcomes. Simply put, his model does not capture the potential effect of Trump's conviction or possible imprisonment. This shows that Lichtman's keys have historically been reliable in forecasting election results based on established patterns. However, it seems this unique situation will put him in a very tight corner in predicting the winner of this year's election. Millions of people will be on edge come the night of November 5th. After 4 decades of engaging in election prediction, Lichtman will face yet another period of anxiety. "It's nerve-wracking because many would be happy seeing me fail," he acknowledges. "And if I do, I'm human," he admits. "It doesn't mean my system's wrong. Nothing is perfect in the human world." Back to where we started. Does the French Nostradamus have any prophecy for Donald Trump in 2024? In this age of uncertainty, we are reminded of ancient voices that once warned humanity of trials and tribulations yet to come. Nostradamus, the renowned prophet whose words echo across centuries, stands among these voices, predicting events with uncanny precision, leading believers to ponder if divine guidance touched his visions. One of his most famous prophecies to come true was the tragic death of King Henry II of France, a ruler renowned for his invincibility and courage. Nostradamus, living in the same era, penned predictions that seemed to foretell the king's gruesome fate. a reminder of how even the mightiest can fall when destiny, guided perhaps by a higher power, commands it. Henry II's love for physical challenges, particularly jousting, ultimately led to his demise. During a grand tournament in 1559, a soldier's lance shattered, piercing Henry's eye and skull, leading to his death. Nostradamus' prophecy describing a young lion overcoming an older one and piercing his eyes through a golden cage seemed to describe this tragedy, sparking belief that the prophecy had indeed come true. Despite minor differences, like the prophecy's mention of a battlefield rather than a tournament, the connection between the prophecy and Henry's death is hard to ignore. Throughout history, God has spoken to his people in myriad ways. In the words of Amos 3:7, "Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets." Many believers see Nostradamus as a man granted insight into God's plans, albeit in a cryptic form. Nostradamus' predictions extend beyond medieval Europe, with some interpreting his quatrains as foretelling events such as the rise of Adolf Hitler and the horrors of World War II. One prophecy describes a young child born in the depths of Western Europe, seducing great troops, potentially referring to Hitler. Nostradamus even mentions fighting close by the Heister, a term that some link to Hitler or the nearby Danube River, once known as the Heister. Further proof of Nostradamus' insight can be found in his chilling prediction of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He writes of scourges the like of which was never seen occurring in two cities. The famine within plague, he describes, is thought to allude to radiation sickness and the suffering inflicted by atomic fallout, with people put out by steel, symbolizing the planes that delivered devastation. Such predictions evoke a sense of wonder and fear, compelling us to ask, did Nostradamus glimpse these events by divine revelation? This contemplation of prophecies doesn't end with Nostradamus. As Ecclesiastes 1:9 reminds us, "What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun." Nostradamus' legacy continues to spark fascination and reverence, especially for believers who view his predictions as a form of divine revelation. The Bible teaches that prophecy is a gift of the Spirit, as stated in 1 Corinthians 12:10, and while Nostradamus did not claim such gifts in a biblical sense, his works remind us of the mysterious ways in which knowledge and foresight manifest. In a world fraught with unpredictability, believers find solace in knowing that God's plan is eternal and unshakable. Prophets like Nostradamus and modern seers like Alan Lichtman may offer glimpses into this plan, helping us navigate turbulent times with faith and discernment. As we await the outcome of the next U.S. presidential election, many turn to these figures with hope, seeking confirmation that God's hand remains over the course of history. To conclude, while some may view Nostradamus and Lichtman through different lenses, they both serve as reminders of an eternal truth, that history is under God's watchful eye. Whether through ancient quatrains or modern prediction models, we see glimpses of a divine pattern, one that compels us to reflect on our place within His grand design. If this journey through prophecy has inspired you, like this video and follow our channel. Together, we will continue to seek wisdom, explore mysteries, and unveil the truths hidden within the pages of history. For as it is written in Daniel 2:21, He changes times and seasons, He deposes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. Let us be among those discerning souls, ever watchful and ready for what is to come. What happens next may surprise you. French Nostradamus' Trump Prophecies for 2024. In the words of the Lord, speaking through the echoes of Nostradamus, a vision unfolds for 2024, where a false trumpet emerges, cloaking itself in the guise of influence but concealing madness at its core. This mysterious trumpet stirs the waters of the world, hinting at a figure whose impact will be transformative. even disruptive. For many, this false trumpet is thought to embody Donald Trump, whose bold and controversial moves in his first tenure brought profound shifts to American politics and its global stance. Nostradamus's reference to Byzantium as the symbol of a mighty empire suggests the United States itself, foretelling a seismic change in its governance and principles. The prophet's vision also traverses lands, drawing mention of Egypt and the revocation of a mandate. Followers interpret this as a sign of Trump securing a second term and initiating sweeping reforms, particularly within economic regulations. The ruler will shake with discord and have a bloody mouth swimming with blood, Nostradamus says, capturing an era of fierce divisiveness and bold rhetoric that embodies Trump's leadership. Such images evoke the turbulent aftermath of the 2020 election, a time marred by unrest, and warn of more unrest to come. Another of Nostradamus's foretellings speaks of a great shameless brawler rising to power, fitting Trump's unapologetic confrontational style. To his readers, this vision places him as Governor of the Army, a symbolic title pointing to his role as Commander-in-Chief, poised to lead a nation's forces in an era shadowed by power struggles. Lastly, Nostradamus foretells of a broken bridge and a city that faints with fear, an image suggesting unrest that ripples across the land. Trump's reign, the prophecy hints, might disrupt alliances, strain international relations, and shake national security foundations. Through these symbolic warnings, Nostradamus channels the potential risks of unchecked ambition, a reminder that the impact of leadership extends beyond borders, touching lives and histories alike. Thank you for watching the video. If this message touched your heart, please like and share it to spread the word to more people. Don't forget to leave your thoughts below, and let's pray together, keeping a strong faith in the Lord. As the Bible says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Let's stand firm in our faith together. God bless us all.